Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Salt the Streets podcast, the most pro-America, anti-government show you know, the show where we discuss news, government, and culture as it pertains to you, the individual, and your natural rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I, of course, am that big bird-looking fella they call Colin. I am once again joined by my co-host, brother-in-arms, the Nero of Neoprene himself, the original Salt of the Street, Donovan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here today, sir.
Good, sir. You know the drill. Time, date. What are we talking about today?
Yes, sir. Today is February 25th, 2023. Saturday, of course, episode 143 of Salt of the Streets, and it is 12:10 p.m. Pacific
on the
Standard
dot.
Time. I am ready. We got all kinds of things going on today. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit of Last of Us. In the first part, we have our little review of episode 6, I believe.
Yes.
We have a couple local stories for you. And then in part 2, we're going to be talking more about the Chinese spy balloon and the UFOs that came over, kind of the whole saga that went down, and then everything that's going on in New Palestine, Ohio. That's what it is, right? Why do we say it differently than, do you know? Why is it New Palestine and not Palestine?
Because it's America.
Is that how you're supposed to say Palestine?
I wonder
anyway?
if it's, I wonder because there's an E or something like I wonder if they're spelled differently. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I don't know.
Palestine.
We're going to talk about that. In part 3, we have some updates.
It's literally spelled the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we just say that to be like, well, it's not, it's not over there.
Yeah. In part 3, of course, we have some Ukraine updates for our international stories, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff going on in Canada as far as some decisions by their Supreme Court saying what it wasn't, or okaying Justin Trudeau's use of these kind of extra powers for the trucker.
Emergencies Act.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the grab bag, we have all kinds of things going on there. We have a couple of Breaking Down Breaking Points segments for you. We got a good Let Me Ask You This. So, got a good head buzz from that fucking puff of that elf bar.
Nicotine's,
Yes.
Sweet Lady Nicotine's, what's up?
Yes, right before you press the button. I was like,
Whoa!
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't get that feeling anymore.
Was nice.
Once you're hopefully addicted to Sweet Lady Nicotine, that fun part of the relationship goes away.
Right.
And then it's just this nagging desire for her to be back in your life when she's gone.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
I remember like when you first start smoking cigarettes and you're like, this is awesome. Yeah. And then one day it just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Then it's just like, well, I need this to maintain my sanity. Yeah, it's a good deal, man. It's terrible. You should not do that. I'm cutting back. I've gotten rid of all my nicotine pouches. I don't do those no more.
You're down to one elf bar today.
Down to one elf
you
bar.
Had 4 the last time I was here, so you're down
we
to
just
one.
like the flavor variety.
Right, the selection.
Exactly.
He definitely wasn't puffing all 4 at one time. It was
you rotate,
switching.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, then if I'm down to one, I'll get tired of the flavor and I'll be like, I don't hit it as much. So
yeah.
But of course it's podcast day, so I'm just gonna be breathing mostly nicotine in.
Yes.
That's how we do
it's
things.
It's all vapor
here.
In this room by the end of the day.
That's right. It's vapor and other illicit substances that are made into airborne particles.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
There you go. Someone took his alpha brain today.
I might have. And actually it was really funny. So yeah, I didn't do the beer show last night because I had some kind of personal things come up, but which means my original plan of watching Last of Us last night didn't pan out. So we started the day off this morning by watching Last of Us. So it's about as fresh as can be.
I watched it this morning also,
and I got to tell you, I didn't hate this episode.
It was okay.
I think we're like, okay, well we're moving forward.
Yes,
things are going good. So I'm excited to talk about that. In fact, why don't we just start the show by talking about Last of Us? I mean, unless you got something else.
Let's do that. No, let's do that. It'll be perfect.
And then we'll roll into...
Yes. Yeah, no. We will start with The Last of Us this time around. Usually we start with Let Me Ask You This, as you guys know. But of course we
usually do that.
Before we go any further, I have to remind you guys to go ahead and do everything that you can to evaluate and adjust your relationship with the CCP. It's no good. We'll talk more about the CCP later in our Ukraine segment. So everything you can. Start with shoes here. Clothes is a good place to start. So,
The
Last of Us, yes. And the sponsor for this segment is going to be Lexi Kyle on Twitch because she streamed last night.
Indeed.
So you can go there. It's whoever I decide it's going to be part 1.
Exactly.
So The Last of Us episode 6, right, is what it was.
Yeah.
And in this episode, they start kind of again with Henry killing his brother. They have like a little bit of flashback of that, and then Joel and Ellie meet the old couple. They're in the people's house. They're asking about where his brother is.
Yeah.
And they kind of get sent on their way with a little map.
Yeah.
Ellie steals a
Just
rabbit.
don't cross the river of death.
Right. Yeah, and that was never a part. I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. Like it's just a thing that's added to drama in the show. So this episode I thought was fine. I did not like it better than the last one. I thought that episode 5 was better than this one.
Interesting.
In my personal, but this one was fine. It was there was nothing in it that was like Kevin, hello sir.
What up, Kevin?
Yeah, there was nothing in it that I hated a lot. But
It's not really
there's-
exciting.
No, and that's one of the things that I have. One of the notes that I have is that the show isn't as interesting because there aren't like the actiony elements that there are in the game, especially the infected being one of them. They're essentially not an issue at all unless you're in a big city. It sounds like, which
It
is
seems like it.
Like it does switch it back and forth in the game. What is a more dominant threat? But there's always a consistent threat of the infected from my memory.
Yeah. What was the time jump in this one? It was like 3 weeks later or something like that?
It was like 3 months, I think,
3
which
months.
is pretty standard. It's done kind of in seasons in the game. Is
Okay.
that you start and it's like fall or something like that, and then winter and spring, summer. So it does go like that. That is how it's, especially because you're traveling from Boston all the way to.
like
Excuse me.
like the Midwest or whatever.
Right, they're in Pittsburgh, and then the college that they're at is in Colorado, and then eventually they make it to Salt Lake City. So yeah, so they make it all the way to Utah. So it takes a while if you're walking the whole way.
Yeah, that
You
makes
know?
sense.
So
It'll probably take a few months considering
precisely.
there's no there's no lodging or amenities along the way in this world.
Right. Them getting lost is never really an issue. Like it seems like they travel by the road quite a bit. But I think that's just another like show element. So the things that I really didn't enjoy, right? Because they were fine. It was the
chill.
episode was fine, right? So of course we're gonna bitch about it. So the things that I did not like about it is the pussification of Joel as a character, the anxiety attacks that he's having, and like the crying and the upsetness. I went back, as I do. I went back
Indeed.
this morning and I watched the cutscene footage of those conversations that happened between him and his brother. That's a different tone in the show than it is in the game. In the game, like you can tell that he's starting to get close to Ellie, and maybe that is part of like his underlying fear, but he doesn't want. That's not how the discussion goes down with his brother. With his brother, it's much more of like, I don't want this fucking responsibility. It's more up your alley anyway. Just do this for me. Like I did enough for you back in the day. It's time for you to repay me. And that's there. Like I said, there's definitely an undertone of he's getting close to her. He doesn't want to lose her, like that type of shit. But that's not. I don't know. I'm bothered for some reason in the difference in the way the conversations happen, because it in the game, and I told you this, you're able to pick up on these things without that being a like part of the actual dialogue that's happening, you know? And so
The subtext is there.
I'm confused by it almost. Why it's necessary in a show that has real people in it. There should be more emotion that you're able to read from it. You shouldn't have to be putting that in the dialogue. If I'm able to pick that up in the game, why am I not able to pick it up in the show?
Yeah.
That is something, and I don't.
You're showing, you're not telling, or you're telling, you're not showing.
Right, and I don't know why that is. That I have not figured out yet. But it does seem odd that they're having to insert it in the dialogue like that.
Yeah.
And I don't like the anxiety attacks, like that type of stuff. It's not. You're making him a puss. He's a badass. He's a fucking savage. The whole of the game, and that's what to me what makes the kind of the switch in the final chapter that much more intense is that he is now. It's not just about the mission. He's going against everything, and he's going to kill all of these random people to save Ellie's life. That's what makes that shift
the end of
so
the
much
game.
more intense. Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, it's definitely. I have heard that a lot from not just you, but from other people on the internet talking about this episode, and that's generally one of the main takes. Is like, this isn't the same Joel.
Yes,
It is not the same Joel. There are parts where they do kind of align a little bit, but this whole self-doubt, wallow in self-pity. I'm too old. I'm too deaf. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not prepared.
Right.
All I'm going to do is get this girl killed. That doesn't seem to be a strong narrative in the game.
No,
And
we
so
can even.
it's and for whatever reason, that's probably creative choice from the showrunners. Obviously, they like to do that kind of stuff, but they obviously at this point we know how much they like to just take as much creative liberty as they can get away with in their show comparatively to the game.
So I just sent you the link for the cutscene movie footage that I was watching. And yeah, so we can even watch the conversation between Joel and his brother.
No free ads.
That's right. And it starts at, I have it at 1:32:18.
1:32:18. That's a timestamp.
Boom.
Boom. All right, let's pull it up.
So we can watch this for a minute and you'll be able to see the difference in the tone. And before we start this, I was also talking to Brian about another scene that we can watch. That the girl who plays Ellie is not a good actress. And I know she's not good because she delivers less emotion and less convincingly than the voice actress in the game. Yeah. That's a problem. If I'm able to watch you instead of a cartoon character, I should get more. The same deal as the other thing. I should get more emotion from you as a person than I did from this video game character. Why is that not the case when you are a fucking human being? You're a real person. And I'm still not as convinced as I was in the game.
You can't even make it as good as the game.
You could watch the same thing I just watched and literally match her tone precisely, and then you would be good. Just don't change it at all. Why adjust it? If it's hitting fucking just right in this game, then be an actress, listen to it, and then match the tone so it's fucking on, right?
Interesting setup here.
This is the dam. Yeah, this is on top of the dam, right? And so eventually they're going to go inside of it for a second, and you'll see like the turbine thing that they're getting spun up. I know y'all aren't talking about this, but have either of you seen the documentary titled Ethos with Woody Harrelson? If you watch it, you'll never watch TV again. I have never seen it before.
I might watch that tonight.
But I do like Woody Harrelson.
I'm a huge Woody Harrelson fan, except for that one movie. That movie goes a little dark. When him and his lady, the serial killers, what's that called?
Oh, Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, I've seen that movie twice because it's like, oh, it's such a great movie.
Right.
It's a messed up movie.
Yeah.
But anyways, it does not highlight his acting chops. We'll put it that way. He's just good. A psychopath.
Yeah.
Remember how we thought no one could live like this anymore? We're doing it.
Is that his brother?
Yeah, that's his brother.
Oh, so they're getting
the turbines going inside of the dam.
There you go.
Nice work, boys.
So there's a small callback where they in the show where they do like they look at the dam and they kind of just like, oh yeah, there's this broke ass dam.
It's quite the crew you got here.
Hey, they're good men. This place gives them a second chance. Gives us all a second chance.
This is such a fucking good game.
And you've been replaying, right?
I've been on quite the adventure, little brother.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
Well, go on then.
Go on, man.
She's immune.
Do you see how much more Texas they are than Pedro Pascal?
Oh, yeah.
I know. I've seen her breathe enough spores to take down a dozen men. Nothing.
Oh, yeah. That's the other big one in the game is the breathing of the spores compared to, like, actually having to get bit.
It's a more common theme, and they talked about it in the first episode. It's just a more difficult medium to deliver over television. Like, it's easier to do in the game because they have to just put on a mask.
Yeah, it would have to look like magical fairy dust or something like that if you're going to do it in the TV show.
Right. So I'm not mad at all about that. And that's like a very passive, mostly when you're underground, like is when you're dealing with that type of stuff because it's just, it's contained, you know? So when there's an infected that is dead somewhere underground, the spores or the mushroom continues to grow, and so it just spores out. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed it neither, but I can show you.
Look how rough Joel looks, too.
Yeah, dude. Real rough.
I'll bite. Why bring her here?
I'm supposed to deliver to the Fireflies. The way I figure they're your boys, you finish the job, you collect the whole damn paint.
I haven't seen a firefly in years.
You know where they are. Now, I'm not asking for much, Tommy. I just want some simple gear, enough to set me on my way.
What makes you think I'd do this for you?
This isn't for me, Tommy. This is for your damn cause.
My cause is my family now. You ain't talking about some walk in the park here.
Jesus, boy. Have Maria get some of your born-again friends to do it.
They got families too.
Tommy, I need this.
Very interesting.
You want some gear? Sure. But I ain't taking that girl off your hands.
This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you.
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
Took care. That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
It wasn't worth it.
Ooh.
I bring you the cure from mankind, and you wanna play the pissy little brother.
We ain't back in Boston. You lay your hands on me again, it won't end well for you.
The hell is that?
We're under attack. You still remember how to kill, right?
Yeah.
So that is essentially that's the scene.
Yes.
And this is a 180% different take. I mean,
Yes.
for one, we're not in the town. We're not safe, and they're getting attacked right now. And
Right. Yeah, they get attacked by raiders while he's there.
yeah, and the entire tone is completely different. In the show, Joel is very he's like in a more submissive,
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
the thing.
gonna-
He's beaten down. He's dejected.
I just
I
keep
can't
failing
do
her.
it.
I'm
Exactly.
gonna lose her. I know that I'm just gonna get her killed.
Yeah, this is, and I mean, he's threatening. He's angry. He's violent. I mean, he's still got some badassery going on
Yes.
here. He's got a lot of it, and in the show, not so much. He wants out as an escape in the show because he doesn't want this girl to get hurt. He just can't do it. Versus this one, he just wants the fuck out. He wants to be done with this. I want to go. I don't give a shit what happens. I'm out.
And for
Very, very different.
And for me, this adds to the intensity of like I said, that twist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. The other thing, because I didn't play the game, I might be wrong when I'm remembering this.
Yep.
I remember the monkeys being a fucking thing in the game.
The monkeys were a thing.
Were they like? Did you have to fight off monkeys? Did
No,
they get
it was
aggressive?
like
No,
the exact
nothing?
same thing. It was the
Okay,
exact same
they're
thing.
just
So,
there.
yeah, so in the game, you get to the college and you see some monkeys. You also see giraffes that are roaming through there. Like you stop. I'm pretty sure that it's at the college, and they stick their head in and like eat some leaves, and then they move on. And so the monkeys are up in a room like that, and so you work your way kind of through whatever college building that is, and you get to the end of the lab, and they're like, oh, they're not here, we just searched the whole lab. And then on your way out, it's the same deal. Raiders are coming into the building. The way that Joel gets injured is way cooler in the game.
Really?
It's way cooler in the game. So
But still kind of ends that way.
Yes. This injury part is definitely, it's right on from the game, even the falling down on the horse and all that type of stuff. So
And can I just say, from a storytelling standpoint, I do not like the surprise gut wound. I don't like I'm in a violent tussle, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden through oh, I just totally missed it. I wasn't paying attention. He's got the stem of a baseball bat in his
Right.
gut. Oh geez.
Right.
And then Mr. Hardcore Survivalist, who's been out there in the lands, all this, knows better than to take this foreign object out of his stomach. No. I'm just going to do that and then bleed out.
right.
I don't know. I'm not a fan
So-
of that whole trope.
No, I agree. And in the game, he hears everything that's going on, and he gets knocked over a railing inside of the building, and there's like rubble with rebar sticking out of it, and he falls on a piece of rebar.
Oh,
and it
no.
goes through him,
Oh.
and he has to lift himself off of the rebar to defend himself. And so it's that he has no choice but to get off of the rebar, and then it's that wound that is fucking him up 'cause it's all rusty and terrible.
Rough.
Yeah, so that's what happens to him in the
And
game.
this all takes place in the dam?
In the college.
In the college,
Yeah,
okay.
after they leave the dam. There is another scene, if you go forward in that video, like...
So I didn't close it. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
No, you're good. If you go to 13702, then this is where Ellie runs away after the raiders come to the dam. She hears the conversation because Tommy agrees that he's going to take Ellie instead of Joel. And Ellie hears that conversation and she gets upset and she runs away. So Tommy and Joel go to find her and she has run away to this farmhouse, this abandoned farmhouse.
Okay.
So that is where they're at now.
It's clear.
Yeah, and so
This
this
looks
scene,
so much more haggard.
Yes. So this scene upstairs is almost a shot-for-shot remake, just in a different location. But just
Oh, yeah, when it
note-
goes into the room.
Yeah,
Is
and
this
just
really all we
note
had
the
to worry
difference in
about?
emotion in her portrayal.
Oh,
God damn
no.
it! You Call of Duty sons of bitches.
I hate it.
Whatever you do.
Whoa, now we're at Harbor,
Harbor
Freight.
Freight?
Jeez.
Have you ever
a
shopped at
double.
Harbor Freight before?
Nah.
Is there any way you can turn your volume up? It's
Movies?
very quiet and my volume is all the way up.
Yes. I definitely can.
Yes.
Let's do desktop audio. Yoink.
Boom.
Boom.
Tell us if that is better, Kevin.
Deciding which shirt goes with which skirt.
Oh, yeah, I should have been watching the levels a little bit
Bizarre.
more.
Get up. We're leaving.
And if I say no?
Do you even realize what your life means? Huh? Running off like that, putting yourself at risk? It's pretty goddamn stupid.
Well, I guess we're both disappointed with each other then.
What do you want from me?
Admit that you wanted to get rid of me the whole time.
Tommy knows this area.
Oh,
better
fuck
than-
that.
Well, I'm sorry. I trust him better than I trust myself.
Stop with the bullshit. What are you so afraid of?
Shit.
That I'm gonna end up like Sam? I can't get infected. I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
Well, we seem to be doing all right so far.
And now you'll be doing even better with Tommy.
Not her, you know.
What?
Oh, boy.
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You're treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel. But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
So much more anger in his voice.
I'm
Everyone
telling
I
you.
have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
So much more emotion, too.
I'm telling
Good
you.
Lord.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
Line for line, though.
Yes.
And we are going our separate ways.
Get it together. We're not alone.
Until then.
I got two walking in.
There's more inside already.
Yeah, so you clear these people out of the house. You go back to the dam. Joel is like, all right, I'll take you instead of Tommy. And then they go to the college. So,
Interesting.
bro, I legit have tear in my eye right now. Like,
That
so
was
that's,
that was so, and like the look in her eyes. I mean, there's
I'm
so much more
telling you.
emotion in the video game character than there is from.
why from a human being. Why is it this way?
Oh,
Why is it this way? It shouldn't be this way. You're a
should not
human
be
being,
this
and
way.
that's a computer. And I shouldn't. This legit. You just watched it. Made me tear up.
Oh.
I didn't give a fuck about the show when this happened. All I could think was the game is better. Was
Wow.
this scene in the game is better because that particular part is exactly line for line
Yeah.
remade, and it's better in the fucking game.
That's
Why?
rough. That's rough, dude. That bothers me. That bothers me on a scale I can't even.
I'm telling you.
So much better. So much better.
I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, and then at that point, because in the show, the next morning comes, she's all dressed up, ready to go, and Tommy comes in to go take her away and go down, go deliver her to the Fireflies, the whole concept, right?
Yeah.
And then Joel has had a change of heart overnight,
Right.
and is like got a horse ready to go, and he's gonna go, he's gonna take her. It's not this. This was way more impactful.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a crisis to deal with. So then shit's happened to happen quick on the fly like this. And then I'm sure, I don't know, the rest, like you said.
I think maybe she runs away again, and you got to kind of go through the forest to get her. And maybe that comes next, and then but you end up back at the dam because you kind of resupply and shit, and then you go onto the college.
Yeah, but it's not like this sob story.
No.
You know, I have a turnaround after thinking about it overnight, and then
No.
now I'm going to take you.
No,
Interesting.
it's better.
That's so much better, dude. It's like it's not even funny. It's
Yeah.
like so much better. Oh man, you ever heard about the movie White Noise? We have definitely heard about it.
Yes.
I have not watched it yet though.
No.
Because I do want to watch
Because
it.
they're all about the movie recommendations. So Kevin
Yeah.
said, we are monkey see, monkey do, and Ethos lays out how the elites use television shows to create a narrative and reality that's not real. Great documentary. Television is meant to control the masses. I haven't watched television since 2012 because of the documentary anyway. Just want to tell you about it. No, okay, so let me write them both down. Let's see. White
Ethos.
Noise, yeah. Ethos and White Noise movies. Okay.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, because White Noise, I've been hearing a lot about that ever since. It was kind of like when Pandemic Time came out, and then they're like, dude, have you guys seen Contagion? It's like basically the same thing.
Not a recommendation, just a weird
word.
coincidence. No. You recommended it.
Yes, that's
And
right.
Yeah.
Alex says we do, so
you
we do.
can't get away from it now. Contagion was lit, though. I don't remember whether
Contagion
or not I
was pretty
saw
good.
that before or after COVID, but I know I watched it again after that, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
that's fucked up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I watched it during when I was working from home and all that, during my various movie binges of the time. And then I would watch that, and then I would watch Outbreak, the one with,
Yeah.
what's his face in it? Is it Sean Penn? No, it's not Sean Penn. No, shit. The guy from Sphere, Dustin Hoffman. He's in that one.
Yes.
Yeah. And that one I actually like better, the
Utopia.
older movie. Yeah, Utopia was one. That's the one I think that they actually pulled off the air, right?
What?
That might have been the American version of it, but yeah, it was about a group of elites or some kind of Bill Gates character that kind of creates, like they created a virus or a vaccine or something for a virus that ultimately like starts to sterilize everybody, and then it kind of turns into like a Children of Man type thing.
And you can't watch it anymore?
They canceled the show, from what I recall.
They
They were like, "This is it.
canceled
This
the
is it's clashing too much with our narrative. We can't be doing this right now." So I don't know if it still exists, but I remember hearing a lot about it at the time. So
Yeah, what the
was a thing.
fuck?
That was a thing.
Utopia 2020. Utopia is an American science fiction, but you want the British one, not the American one.
Yeah.
The 2013 British original series of the same name.
Just pulling it up on the IMDb's here. Oh yeah, yeah. Not USA, he says.
Due to budget disputes, is what they say.
Oh.
A community of comic book fans believe the graphic novel The Utopia Experiments predicted several disastrous epidemics such as mad cow disease. A rumored unpublished sequel supposedly contains further information on further world events.
That's right.
When one Utopia enthusiast procures the manuscript, he invites 4 of his friends from an online forum to meet in real life. However, after getting their hands on the manuscript, the 4, Ian, Becky, Wilson, and Grant, find themselves in over their heads as a secret organization known only as the Network is after it. They find their lives systematically dismantled, while the Network operatives kill anyone in their way as they hunt for the manuscript and someone named Jessica Hyde. Jessica, who has been on the run from the Network her entire life, meets with the group and helps them evade capture. Meanwhile, other characters find themselves ensnared in the Network's orbit, and through their interactions with its agents, the organization's purpose and secret plot come into focus. The closer people come to understanding what's truly going on, the more dangerous things become, as rumors of Russian flu proliferate worldwide, and a variety of groups and individuals close in on the protagonists. They try to solve the web of mysteries and conspiracies around them. Holy shit.
Sounds good. Sounds real good. And just, I don't play the IMDb thing anymore on the show because we always get popped for
Yeah.
because it plays the preview automatically. But just from what I saw, it looks pretty good. You know, there was a time when UK versions of shows and UK television stuff was pretty rough around the edges, but once we got into the middle 2000 teens, I mean, things started to look pretty good over there.
Controversy. UK media regulator Ofcom received 44 complaints about the television series, including complaints about violence, offensive language, and child actors being involved in scenes of adult content. 37 of the complaints related to a scene at the beginning of the third episode where a shooting takes place in a secondary school a month after the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. In the second series, the use of real-life events, including the assassination of Ari Neve, prompted criticisms of the show by a number of people, including members of the Neve family. In response, Channel 4 issued a statement and said that the drama series is entirely fictional, and it is not Channel 4's intention to cause offense, and Utopia does not suggest that any other real organization was responsible for the death of Ari Neve.
Oh, jeez.
Weird.
That is strange.
All right.
Well, the rule of thumb is if a FCC or British equivalent, if they get 44 complaints, that actually means in reality 44 million people have the same response. So they take everything very, very seriously.
This says that it was on Amazon Prime.
Oh, shit.
You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
I'm into that. I got the Amazon
The
Prime.
American version you can watch on Amazon Prime. And I don't know. Peep it. Let's see about the...
Opia. Let me do UK.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's... yeah, there you go.
Boom.
Prime Video. Look at that. You can watch season 1 and season 2.
And then they have the American one, too.
Yeah.
Boom.
Palm Springs, Andy Samberg is a good movie. No, that's a recommendation.
Should I write that one down, too?
Oh, that's too good.
I watched Heat this week. It's great.
Watched what?
Heat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you fucking love Heat.
That's great.
It's going to be your favorite new... It is your favorite movie now,
Top
right?
5. Top 5 for certain.
Woo.
For certain.
Along
for
with a
certain.
bunch of other heist movies, right?
I would have to
Like
really
The
think.
Town.
I would have to
and-
really think about that if I was going to do a top 5 again. I would have to really, really think about that.
Yeah.
But Heat is for sure in it.
It's a great movie,
Yeah.
dude. You got a star-studded cast.
Yeah.
Fucking Al Pacino. That was an interesting conversation we had earlier this week about Al
right.
Pacino, right? Is he
Whether
really
or
this
not-
good, or
Yeah. Whether or not he's actually a good actor or if he's just good at what he's doing.
yeah?
So, and I think that I would, like I said, I would have to watch a ton more shit. But
You ever seen Devil's Advocate?
yes,
That's fucking
yeah. I
good
have
one.
seen that one before. Yeah, that one's really good. He's in. I know we've talked about Glenn Ross before, and you've never
Yeah.
seen that, but he's
Yeah.
in that movie too. He's one of the salesmen in that movie.
Does he kind of play the same type of character? Too?
Yeah, aggressive like that.
Yeah.
So it's the same type of shit. But that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Glenn Ross is awesome.
Yes. Yeah. I gotta remember to actually watch that
Yeah,
movie.
that one's fire.
What's that movie about again? It's a
They're
salesman. And
they're like real estate. I think it's real estate is what they're selling. Yeah, and they're looking for leads. They're waiting for leads to come in. Trying to get the leads. So
that's not the Coffees for Closers movie, right?
Yes,
That is the Coffees.
That's
only for
Coffees
closers.
for closers.
That's right.
Losers get steak knives. Yeah, that's a whole.
Who else is in that? Who's the dude that actually makes the Coffees for
That's
Closers
Alec
speech?
Baldwin that makes
That's right.
makes that speech. Yeah,
Young Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
Just pleaded not guilty, by the way.
and that's what I heard. And they're gonna like drop some of the charges, right?
Yeah, they're taking like the gun
Dude.
add-ons of the charges off.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck Alec Baldwin.
Fuck Alec Baldwin. You just apparently it's all right if you're making a movie to kill someone.
Bro, he looks real bad.
Good.
I saw
fucking good.
Yeah, I saw a video of him like leaving his apartment or something. I think he was probably heading to the courthouse or whatever. Disheveled as fuck. Rough. And then he's like yelling at people on the street. It's over, bro. It's over.
People should throw shit at that guy. I'm not. I mean,
he throws.
I guess I don't think I'm like allowed to say that. So I'm not telling anyone they should do that. He deserves to have things thrown. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that either, but that's closer to okay.
He deserves to be held accountable for the murder of the woman that he murdered.
Yeah, he manslaughtered her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know for certain that he did it with malice.
And definitely
But he
assaulted the guy that
definitely-
also
yeah.
got shot.
But he definitely killed that woman.
Yep.
And he did it knowingly because he fucking pulled the trigger of the gun. So
Because he had a real gun with live rounds on his gun belt. I mean, he pointed a real gun at a human being
With bullets
and
in
then
it.
pulled the trigger.
yeah,
Those nice lever action
Right.
old revolvers like that. They're a real simple mechanical situation, and
the single action.
there's only one way to do that, and that's
Right.
to pull the fucking trigger. Done. So that's where that's at.
That guy
they're
should,
and they're
that guy
gonna
should be in jail.
and they're gonna actually finish the movie.
Really?
Yeah. From what I was reading, they're continuing the filming of the movie somehow.
He said he didn't pull it. It just went off.
It just went off, man. Guns just go off. It's like a real thing, right? Of course.
Come on, man.
They're as real as assault weapons.
Right. The high-powered assault pistols.
Yes, the high-powered assault pistols. So yeah, there you go. There's our entertainment block for the show. Fantastic.
Yes.
Lots of movie recommendations, show recommendations. Shout out everybody. I might have to watch one of those tonight. That sounds enticing. Enticing. So without any further ado, shall we?
With that, let me ask you this. Yes, I'll ask you a smaller one first. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's bigger, but the conversation will be shorter.
Okay.
Because of all of the blame and stuff that I heard. Joe Biden went to Poland this week, right? And he
Indeed.
also made a surprise trip to Ukraine.
Yes.
Because last week, someone asked, I think it was during the press conference with Karine Jean-Pierre, is he going to go? And she's like, we don't have anything planned. We don't have anything planned. There's nothing about that. And
Yeah,
so
we
then
got
when
nothing planned.
So when he goes 6 days later, they're like, it's a total surprise, absolutely surprise trip, even though he's fucking calling Putin to say, hey, I'm going to go to Ukraine. Like, okay, so obviously we know that he's going to go there. So there's a ton of conversation as the anniversary of the war, the invasion rolls around of, this is all Putin's fault, this is Putin's fault, this is Putin's fault. Who started the war in Ukraine?
Let's see here. Victoria Nuland. At the end of the day, the one who crosses the lines with the troops, I guess, probably starts the war.
Yeah.
But lead up to that moment is going to be really gray for a long time. I think it probably starts with the U.S.-backed coup of the democratically elected government of Ukraine back in 2014, and the complete unwillingness of the entire, the U.S. and the entire Western democracies of the liberal world order to do anything to push back against, the Russia's taking over of Georgia and then of Crimea. That who knows who actually started the war,
Right.
but I guess once the tanks roll over the lines, you could say that they did, and so that's the quick answer.
Yeah.
But what leads a nation to make that call, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, if you're the one actually giving the order, be like, all right, go into that sovereign country, we're doing it. Then I guess you did. So that's my answer to that.
No, I like it. And there's some really interesting wordplay that goes on with the war in Ukraine, with especially Western leaders talking about there is a war in Ukraine that we are involved in a little bit, but we're not at war with Russia in Ukraine. We're not at war.
Just don't tell them
But
that.
there is a war there that we are helping with.
Yeah.
But we're still not at war. There's a lot of really interesting wordplay that goes on there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, we'll expand on that, I think, much more in the Ukrainian block today. But
Definitely.
yeah, I think there's a lot of, I watch a lot of Timcast IRL, right?
Yep.
One of Ian Crossland's favorite thing is to be very, very semantic with words. And I think that's one of the things we're all kind of dealing with here. You can call it whatever you want, man. But if you look back through history, this is only one thing and one thing only. This is a giant global conflict right now.
Right.
Whether or not you have multiple nations on the field of battle hurling fucking lead and launching rockets and shit at each other is another story. But the entirety of the globe, damn near, as far as any kind of actual powerful economy, is participating in this in one way or the other. China, India, North Korea, Russia, Ukraine, the entirety of the NATO countries, America. I think the very few people probably hanging out kind of away from this right now are like Mexico South, and then, you know, African nations, some of them, some of the Middle Eastern nations. But some of the Middle Eastern, Iran is involved, you know, Turkey as a member of NATO is involved. So it's, I mean, I don't know how many more nations you need to get wrapped up into this thing to just be like, this is definitely a world war. We're just not all fighting each other yet, but we're all participating in this thing.
China's reportedly starting to get involved, and I mean, once you get China going in on Russia's side, there's going to be a couple other countries that are like, yeah, we'll throw it down too.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean, if they're going to go, we'll go.
If they're going to go, we got this.
Yeah.
You know, North
if y'all
Korea will follow
motherfuckers are all
China.
going to be there, then we're going to be there.
Yeah, we're all about it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, North Korea will be like, yeah, send it. That's what I'm saying. That's the point. This is the point that I will get into it later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I don't
when
want
we
to
get
pop
to
off
Ukraine.
on Ukraine yet. We'll get into it later.
We will definitely get there.
Yeah. So do you want to do, because this other one is going to lead us into the breaking down breaking points. Do you want to do that right now? Do you want to do this local story first? Do you want to do the breaking down breaking points, and then we'll see what's up with the local story? Because we can also do that in the grab bag.
Let's do breaking down breaking points.
Okay, so this second, let me ask you this, as you just heard us produce here, because we live produce on the show, you guys love it, is we're also going to do our first of 2 breaking down breaking points segments. We need a fucking drop for that, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit, yeah.
That's what we need.
Producer, get off your ass and make something
God
like that.
damn it, Colin. No, okay, so...
Because we definitely do it regularly enough.
Yes. So we're going to have... It's going to be 2 parts of this. We're going to break down breaking points, and then we're going to have like a real discussion about this topic, because I am intrigued, and I'm trying to discuss it.
Yes.
Right?
It's a very interesting one.
So this, let me ask you, this has to do with child labor, right? And I guess the question really at the end of it is like, what's the deal with child labor? What do you think about it? You know, so that's we'll get into that after we do the breaking down breaking points.
Okay, so watch the vid and then start talking.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll break down breaking points first.
Let's do it. So this comes courtesy of what day's episode? Tuesday's episode, I believe,
I think so.
last week.
Horrifying revelation from federal authorities. They found more than 100 kids that were working in slaughterhouses, cleaning slaughterhouses. This was in plants across the
Pause
country.
for a second. This is a 6-minute segment.
Yes.
Okay, so there's like so much more that goes into this and it deserves, especially with as outraged as they end up being, you know, or she pretends to be, it deserves way more than 6 minutes, because there's like a lot of questions about what the fuck happened here.
So many questions. It's like I told you after we watched the first one, I was like, I just have so many more questions.
Yes.
If you're this worked up.
On the screen, this is from The Guardian. The headline here is over 100 children illegally employed by U.S. slaughterhouse cleaning firm Labor Department investigation finds Packers Sanitation Services employed children between the ages of 13 and 17 in 8 different states. Some of the details here are truly horrifying. So they found kids were working with hazardous chemicals. They were cleaning meat processing equipment, including back saws, brisket saws, and head splitters. At least 3 minors suffered injuries.
Some people call those tools of the trade, by
And
the way.
that's what a thing that I think is funny is I get that they have like wild names. Also, it's a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Like that's what the things are going to be called, because that's what you're doing there. So that's just a funny. I agree.
Mm-hmm. And hazardous chemicals, by the way, are any cleaning products that are used. Anything
that you get, like that maybe you mix yourself or some shit like that, which in a lot of industrial places you're going to do. You're going to make, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. And we have the MSDS index, which is something that like we have at our job.
Yeah.
By any chemical and stuff that we have.
Right.
And it's there it's required by law to be there from the feds. It shows you all the safety procedures that you're supposed to use with those chemicals, any kind of, proper PPE that you have to wear. You have how to use it properly, how to clean it, other safety kind of side effects, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's all the things.
Right.
But yes, most cleaning chemicals, including the ones you have in your home, are hazardous materials in some capacity.
Put the yuck sticker on it.
Put the yuck sticker on it, yes.
while working for this company. And this is not some little side organization. This is one of the country's largest food safety sanitation service providers. They were working at plants owned by Cargill, Tyson Food, JBS, which is a gigantic meat processing company. They were the largest company
hours,
they had the most number of kids that were.
Yeah.
If they're doing it, if they're cleaning the equipment, it's probably after hours.
Yes.
So there's
in large 24-hour operation places like this, you'll generally have 2 shifts that work, I think, 12 hours at a time, more or less, that get you up to 24. But realistically, there's about a 2-hour window there where there's nobody actively working on the floor. And in that case, all the cleaning crew is there to clean everything up in between then, and then the next shift starts.
to clean all the shit.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard deal. You know what I mean? I've worked in a couple manufacturing plants that are like that.
Working in their plants, but Gibbon Packing, Greater Omaha Packing, Maple Leaf Farms, Turkey Valley Farms, George's Inc., Tyson Food, among others. So a horrifying discovery here. And part of what they say, Emily, is some of these kids, they're working like the middle of the night.
I don't know. I'm not trying to nitpick, and I'm also not trying to defend like giant corporations or anything like that. But she's listing off all these companies that, and I feel like if they knew that there's 13-year-olds that are working in their facilities, they'd probably be like, hey, let's not do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, this is not cool. I didn't know you were doing this.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I agreed to. So I don't know. The disconnection between there's a contractor that you're saying is responsible for this. They're cleaning, they're hiring these people, but it's these meat packing facilities' fault that they're hiring these, or that they have this contractor who's the largest cleaning contractor of meat packing facilities in the country.
Yeah, and so that's part of the thing I don't like about her argument at this point is she's listing off all these meatpacking plants, if you will, and as if they are the problem here,
right? Because
they're at their various facilities. But this is a single contractor that is hired by all those people,
right?
Probably due to some kind of unionization, kind of contracting type, big contracting unions and stuff like that. So I'm very sure there's some. You should probably be talking to your labor unions that run these industries.
It's a Bethel towing on a snowy road type of situation.
I guarantee you it's something like that. But even then, it's not necessarily those companies' fault. It's the contractor that's doing this.
Right.
And you don't dive into how this contractor works, especially if it's a union gig. You're not diving into how they run their company and all this stuff. No, you hire them, generally speaking, because they're the cheapest out of 3 different bids that you get among the rest of the union shops, and then they tend to always underbid everyone else in the industry, and then they soak up all the work. Blah 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 blah. These meatpacking plants aren't doing anything other than going with more or less the standard industry cleaning people that everyone else uses, and that's the way you do it.
And this job sounds like it sucks, so there's probably quite a bit of turnover. I imagine people don't work cleaning meatpacking equipment for that long.
Yeah, I'm very sure.
They're probably not like, this is sick. Like, I'm gonna
keep doing baby.
This. Yeah.
Meatpacking plants are closed, and so they're falling asleep in school. Some of them suffered chemical burns. Just unbelievable that this is going on in America right now.
Yeah, and here's a quote actually from the report from the Department of Labor. They say, quote, "Our investigation found Packers Sanitation Services systems flagged some young workers as minors, but the company..."
So this is an issue. When I was listening to this, I had an issue with this because and maybe think about the public school system. You know what I'm saying? These kids, they're falling asleep in school. Why the fuck are they having to go to school and work at the same time, right? There's obviously particular cases here that don't fit into these cookie cutter standards that are laid out by the federal government that everybody needs to be doing this thing. If there are kids that need to be working or that are working, there should be and needs to be a better way for them to be able to get their education and not have to show up during these exact hours, you know, to fit this standard that's set out that, as we've talked about a million times, is bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
So this is to me, a poor reflection on the structure that the federal government and state governments have set out for kids to have to get their education in.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very, hard and set time during the day, during these hours, because it's basically a daycare center type of situation.
And it's a misaligning of values of that, showing children that there isn't value in them working and there's more value in this traditional education. And I'm not, obviously but there's also, if you're going to do a particular job, like there's value in getting on the job training as well. And I'm not saying that necessarily cleaning meatpacking equipment is that, but
and so many questions already about, like, there's no details about, like, you say some of these kids are falling asleep in school. I go, well, okay, have you talked to the kids? Why are they working there? Are they being forced into this by, their parents or situation, or like, what is we need the context behind this. You can't just say some of these kids are falling behind in school. Some of them are getting chemical burns. Or were they using the things improperly? I mean, were they fucking around? Or was there an accident? Or, what's the context here? You're making it sound like these kids are slave labor brought in off the streets to work in the dead of night at gunpoint in these horrific conditions at these meatpacking plants across the world.
Did they have the jobs voluntarily, or were they coerced into this job to work with dangerous chemicals under unsafe conditions?
Here? They can't drive if they're 13.
Because it sounds
somebody's driving them to work.
It sounds like, and I'm not even going to continue to qualify. It sounds like the way they're making it sound is like these children are being forced to work at this job. And to my understanding, even after I did the research, it sounds like all of these people applied to work for this job, and the companies chose to ignore their ages. Right? That's another discussion, but it doesn't sound like these kids are being forced to work at this facility. That they're working this job by choice.
Yeah. Like Kevin says, at 13, I was working nights with my father, then went and delivered my own newspapers, then went to school. After school, went and split firewood. Kids nowadays are soft. Yeah.
We delivered newspapers to newspaper boys, and I was a newspaper delivery boy. Went to school full time and then worked splitting firewood for my dad's firewood business for hours before bed. What happened to being proud of a hard work ethic, even if they are young.
It's evil. You were being taken advantage of, Kevin.
Yeah.
You were basically a slave, and you just didn't even know it. And it's horrific that this is allowed to happen in this country. All right, carry on.
Yes.
He ignored the flags. When the wage and hour division arrived with warrants, the adults who had recruited, hired, and supervised these children tried to derail our efforts to investigate their employment practices. So the system, the company system, worked because obviously they're asking for people's ages when they're being hired, obviously.
When they apply for the job. They apply for the job.
Yeah, are you old? But I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you hire people, you're not allowed to ask how old they are. Technically.
No, but you have to get copies of their ID and stuff like that.
Yeah,
when they fill out their
they have to be of legal age, but at that point you can't
shit, or whatever the form is when you first get your job. Your W-2 is for your taxes, but whatever tax forms you fill out.
W-4. That's what it is.
There you
go. That fails, and they ignore the flags.
Yes.
And that's crazy. I mean, it's so obviously our system, to the extent that it worked, they were fined $1.5 million in civil penalties. That's what this announcement is based on. It's a big fine. Not huge for a company of that size at all.
No, and they're absolutely positive because they're talking about they're ignoring these things, and that's fine. But again, as we talked about a million times, these are arbitrary standards set by the federal government that are dictating when certain people, individuals, can decide when they are and are not going to work.
Yeah.
Right? There is again a massive difference between someone who needs to make extra money and is working with their parents to get a job so they can help out with these things. Because in these articles that I have, like the Time article, I'm excited to read part of it because I agreed with this one for a second and it takes the weirdest fucking leftist twist at the end. It's wild. But there's a difference between people who need to make money doing that and people being forced to work in a fucking coal mine under horrifically unsafe conditions like it was when we had these child labor laws put in place. You know? These are not the same thing. And
Going down to the mines.
I'm not saying that we should just hire all the 13-year-olds and let them get after it. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that this is not the same thing as the reason that we have the child labor laws now.
No.
And that is precisely how they're making it sound.
Exactly. That's why they used the thumbnail of the coal mining kid.
The coal mining kid. What is that?
It's amazing because the Department of Labor describes this as a, quote, systemic violation. It's across 8 different states, lots of different kids involved. But you can see when you really zero down that their investigation found that they were flagged as children.
Yeah, and the company just didn't care. I mean, there's a couple things that could be relevant in this situation. I mean, one thing
more
is
than a
the
couple,
rise of contractors to do work within companies, and what
Unionized contractors.
happens is, the big company, let's say Tyson Food, they put a lot of pressure on these subcontractors in order to come in with the lowest price.
Right.
And then it allows
Driven by unions.
them
wanna
to
keep
kind
hitting
of
that
keep
home.
their hands clean from having to do like the horrifying child labor recruitment and the lowest possible,
Okay,
the
all right,
lowest bidder.
hold on. She's the horrible child labor recruitment. So they found just over 100 children across 8 states, and she's now talking about nationwide meat producers, right? That they're if they start hiring, it's gonna be rampant.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
This thing that's happening where they have a small handful of children who are 13, who are under an age where I would be like, fuck it, work anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because even in Washington, at 15 and a half, you get a worker's permit. You can start working legally, right? So even if that's our bare minimum, you're talking about 40 kids over 8 states that are under that threshold in this investigation that you did. All of a sudden, Tyson Foods is going to open up and hire just fucking 12-year-olds to work at all of their meat packing plants.
gonna happen.
Because the tiny hands clean the equipment so much better. That's ridiculous. This is a silly-ass argument that's totally fatalistic. That's not particular, but extremely negative toward corporations. That's, as soon as a big company takes over, they're just going to hire only fucking children. It's all
right.
child labor all day, and the only thing that's going to deter that is more regulation by whoever is fucking doing the Department of Labor.
Even though we have the regulation and these people just chose to continue on anyways for whatever reason,
Right.
again, whether or not, like, we don't know they use the 13-year-old as the lowest number. They said between 13 and 17 because
Yes.
anybody under 18 would be flagged in this system, obviously.
I have an article that has a breakdown of
Perfect.
the ages of the kids.
Perfect. But it's just her disdain towards corporate America or corporations in general is leading her argument on this one. All corporations are evil, so obviously if this is happening, it's going to continue to happen unless something happens, unless we do something.
Right.
Because this is terrible and it's a systemic failure. Sounds like it's not really systemic. They got flagged in the system because the computer says you're under 18, red flag. Whatever the circumstances were about this company choosing to hire these underage kids, maybe there's legitimate reasons. Like these kids wanted fucking jobs.
Right.
But that never factors into the conversation, to her argument at all.
And that's
never once.
A huge part of this issue for me. Like I said, coercion or like over being convinced. If they wanted this job, then we're talking about the federal government telling you whether you can or cannot have a job. I'm not going to do
not good.
that. I'm not okay with that being the reason. It's because we've decided that children can't do this and they can't whatever.
That's right.
I'm not going to do that. That's a silly game, and I don't think that we should be playing that.
Yeah.
Like that's
if the kid wants to work and the parents are okay with it, then the
Yes.
federal government should not be allowed to stop you from doing that.
And they're safe. Obviously, there's safety matters. At the end of the day, the child needs to be taken care of. Like that goes without saying. I feel like, you know what I'm saying.
Like any other employee of that company, they're not more at danger because they're younger.
Right.
Other than the fact that, you hire anybody under 25 for the most part these days, they're going to act like they're 12 anyways.
And they're going to require more supervision, most likely.
Yes.
And if you're not doing that, then that's on you, because that's.
Yeah. That's the way that's going to go.
Yes.
If that's the group of employees you're going to be hiring, there are going to be certain downfalls that come with that, and you as a company need to be prepared to manage that portion of the business. Probably not a good call, but also you can hire those people cheaper. It probably works out in the wash once you get down to the bottom line.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they're making that call because of the way, whether or not they're going to be in the red or in the black. They know what they're doing. We carry on.
Or ends up getting the gig, and they engage in all of these flagrant labor law violations, and it sort of protects the bigger company from dealing with any of the charges. Who knows if Tyson Foods or these other giant corporations had any inkling of what was going on with the sanitation company? It's certainly possible that they did. So that's one piece of.
And it's certainly possible that they didn't.
Right.
Can I just say that? It's certainly possible that they did. I'm going to go move on now. He's like, yeah, but it's also certainly possible that they didn't, you fucking idiot.
She hates companies
She
so
hates them
bad.
so much. And again, like I just keep hitting this unionization point because she's so hardcore about organized labor. Every single one of these companies, including the one in question here, I guarantee you they're unionized because that's the only way to participate in those corporate manufacturing companies in America. That's all those people have some kind of union. So you're talking about your own people here in corporate America. It's organized labor that is essentially pushing all this stuff and allowing this stuff to happen. That's probably why these kids are allowed to come and work because their family members are in the union that work there. I'm very sure that's, and then they bring people in like in an apprenticeship type of, something like that. That would make sense to me. Why would that not? That seems like a good deal if that's what you want to do. Only look out. Unions only look out for the unions, not the worker. Amen, Kevin. That is my base problem with unions. They do not give a shit about the worker. It's just like how Joe Biden cares about America. He doesn't give a shit about America. He pretends to care about America so that he can continue looking out for himself and his people.
This. The other piece that I think is relevant here is we're in a situation where, people are not doing well economically because wages are still low and inflation is still high, but the unemployment rate is very low. And so a lot of companies are struggling, at least at the wages they want to pay, to get
wages
workers.
have been going up. That's not true. Compared to inflation, they've been completely wiped out because inflation is so fucking horrific.
Yeah.
Wages have been going up. So
but not at the same rate.
You can look up any article right now. That's the truth. She just lied.
Yes.
Wages are still low. Compared to inflation, yes. It's completely wiped out all of the increases that have happened since out of the last fucking 4 years.
Yeah, like twofold.
Yes. Shut the fuck up.
In. So guess what? You have unscrupulous, I would say evil actors like this company who, in order to get around that, what do they do?
Actors.
They push for, it may be undocumented immigrants, it may be children, who are under the legal age where they could work in an environment like this. And in fact, there is a trend across the country right now in a number of different legislatures.
So they might push to have more illegal immigrants come here.
They might. They
Dear
might
God,
not.
Is that not what you? Is this not what you want? Is this not the thing that you want? Is this not what you're consistently advocating for? But it's terrible when they want it so they can work here, right?
Hey, they just need a pathway to citizenship.
I'm not defending it either way, but when this is what you want, why is it terrible when somebody else wants the same thing for a different reason?
Because they're evil. As she says, they're evil.
It's because to you it's just politics. To them it's just money, and to you it's just politics. And for some reason you think that's better than the other one. Both of those are evil things. To seek just money from this and to seek just politics from this. Not about the people, like you claim that it is.
The workers.
But it's obviously not. It's obviously just about politics because when these companies want it for a different reason, it's not okay. It's not actually about people. You don't actually want these people to come here and have a better life, more opportunities, or any of that type of shit.
Nah.
You want just that for that to be able to be used as a political piece when the next election comes around because 2024 is in full swing, Colin.
No.
Yes. It's in full swing.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
She's terrible.
Regarding child labor law. Iowa is probably the most egregious example. Their Republican legislators introduced a bill in January that would expand the types of work 14 and 15-year-olds could do as part of, quote, approved training programs. They would extend...
Quote.
Jasinski's very uncomfortable about this.
She says, quote, approved training programs.
Yes.
And allowable work hours and, wait for it, exempt employers from liability if these kids are sickened, injured, or killed on the job.
That
nice.
is wild. I did not personally find that. I was trying to find that. I did not personally find that verbiage. She quoted it, so I imagine they don't. I was gonna say she don't lie about stuff, but just like 2 minutes ago she just lied in that car. So I'm not gonna say she doesn't lie, but I trust that it's sourced from somewhere if she quoted it, is what I will say.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah,
right? I don't know where that comes from. I don't know how that was come about or why anyone think that's a good idea. But obviously, if you have people working for you, you need to take care of them. You don't get to violate people's rights to life and safety because I don't know, for money, for whatever reason. Like you need to take care of people who are working for you.
Yeah, I'd be really interested. And it's really funny. always used to make fun of Crowder for this back when he used to have a show, because he doesn't have a show and it's March and nobody cares about Crowder anymore.
What the hell, Crowder?
But they don't post their sources, which kind of bothers me. For a nice, transparent, they talk a lot about how they try to be as transparent as possible with their partners and whatever it is, all their stakeholders, if you will.
Crowders are on his website.
Yes.
So, and
But Breaking Points does, their website is their Patreon.
Yeah.
And
They don't have their sources to what they're.
Yeah. They don't post sources. They should have sources posted in this video description.
And you're saying Crowder does, and that's so it's a positive. Yes, he does. That's because I've used his stuff before. I've gone to his website before to a particular episode, and you can find
when Crowder sources things. Yeah, you can find them. When they source things, you have to trust them.
She says quote.
Yeah, she says quote. She could be quoting an article
or a tweet.
Or exactly. So we don't know, and I don't trust her to not be. I don't trust her to not be lying to me, considering she just lied to me.
She just lied.
Yeah, so not only are we going to make more kids available to put into the workforce and lengthen the extended amount of hours that they can work, if they get hurt or sickened or killed on the job, we're going to make sure that the companies bear no cost of that.
Amazing.
Unbelievable, right?
And to your point, actually, this is another thing to think about. Like this is going to happen more and more and more.
I also would wonder too, because that seems like a blatant violation of so many different kind of labor laws that already exist.
Right.
I wonder if that's just they don't get put an extra charge if a kid gets hurt or dies on the job. They just have the standard kind of liability for their a standard employee.
Yeah.
It's not extra because it's a underage worker. I wonder if that's the case.
That would make more sense.
Because I just I can't.
How
see
do you
that
remove
being,
the liability?
I can't see that being passed in any kind of legislation whatsoever. That just doesn't happen. Right. Not in 2023.
Because I'm actually sort of tempted by the libertarian argument that some child labor laws are too far, that they prevent young kids from being able to start saving for college, which is insanely expensive, et cetera, et cetera. But that aside, these questions
my commie hat on, right?
Pop up more.
Well, so they can save for college, or it's fucking useless anyway. Yeah. And that's we talked about this, her focus on the college thing is because to them, that's still how you get things done. You still have to go to college. You still need a degree because you can't be a journalist if you don't have a degree. You can't actually be a part of this class if you haven't gone and got a degree somewhere. Yeah. You can't you can't work a regular job and then show up every other week and do a 7-hour show and be a journalist. No. You can't do it. It's impossible. You can't possibly provide better social commentary than people who wasted fucking time at a college for 8 years of their life getting wasted useless pieces of paper. You couldn't possibly do a better job if you work an actual regular blue collar job in your everyday life. Yeah, when
you look at the we'll say the white collar journalists that come out of J school, that's when you get the a source, according to a source close to according to an unnamed source here, that's what you get out of journalism school. When you look at the gonzo journalism, the everyday blue-collar journalists, if you will, they're out there on the street talking to people. They're diving in, looking at legislation. They're posting their sources. They're not afraid to. They're not going to talk to somebody just on the condition of anonymity. That they know for a fact that doesn't give them any kind of credibility. Whereas these white-collar journalists rely on the credibility of the institution that they work for to just be able to just tell you whatever the fuck they want, and then they call that journalism. That's not good.
Come on, Jacinsk.
Nobody, Jacinsk knows this. She's like, well, I can play around with this, blah, blah, blah. But let me put my communist hat on real quick and then just say all corporations are bad, blah, 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 blah. It never enters into the mind of these people, again, that maybe this kid just wants to get a job so he can ball out a little bit in front of his friends and buy his fucking video games and his skateboards and do all the fun shit that he wants to do and be a fucking badass among his peer group. No? Okay. That's why I wanted a job when I was a kid, so I can have so I can have my own money.
Or
so I could do what I wanted.
Kids like to get fucked up too.
Yeah. The dealers on the street, man, they don't have discount codes, bro.
No.
You need cash money.
More because we have a completely broken immigration system, because we have so many people sitting on the sidelines of our workforce and totally overeducated people who they were sold a false bill of goods about their college educations. They're now looking for good jobs because they paid
Overeducated and
tens of
underqualified because their pieces of paper mean fucking nothing.
Amen.
Because their degrees mean absolutely nothing.
Yep.
They're overeducated, underqualified for, I don't know, working in a fucking meatpacking plant because they don't have any experience doing anything with their hands other than typing like a fucking little bitch.
A couple years working at the cleaning facility company or whatever, you've already got a leg up over like. By the time you get to the same age as that college grad, you're making fucking money. You're established. You've got a ton of work experience already, and the person getting out of college has nothing except for a shitload of debt. Yeah, it seems like a really, really bad idea to me, right?
But at least you're overeducated.
Yes.
But at least you're overeducated.
Overeducated.
You're super smart when you go places.
Got to go to college, baby.
It's great that you know. I don't know. I don't even want to make up things that you learned in college. Dumb shit.
Dumb stuff.
Yeah. I'm
dollars
sorry
to
to
go
my
to
children who are
college. They
listening.
want to be working in a job that
Don't go
matches
to
their
college.
degree so that the money wasn't a waste. And they're looking for jobs and in their absence wasn't a waste. And they're looking.
I got to replay that part because I love this point.
They're now looking for good jobs because they paid tens of thousands of dollars to go to college. They want to be working in a job that matches their degree so that the money wasn't a waste.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the path that you went down in college did not pay off and it was a bad investment for you. There's no good jobs out there for me to use my worthless piece of paper on. So,
right.
This is where are the people looking out for me?
You're not qualified, so companies should pay you more because you went to college. Even though your degree means nothing into what the job that you want, you should be paid more because you've spent money unwisely.
Yeah, bro. Jasinski lost a lot of points in my book today. It was,
maybe
it
I
was
should
real
be able,
rough.
Maybe I should be able to appeal with my credit card debt when I apply for a job. I'm racked with debt. So I mean, if you guys want to also give me more money because I have more debt, other than what you've advertised here, that would be sick. I would really appreciate that.
I deserve that, actually.
Yeah,
really.
I deserve it, so that it wasn't a waste that I spent all this money on stuff that I don't have anymore.
Yeah, bro. I wasted all this money. I need to recoup that. Jasinski, what are
on
you doing?
Books? If I open up a credit card and I buy $10,000 worth of books, right, and I read all the books, should I then be able to get more money because I have read $10,000 worth of books? I have $10,000 worth of knowledge now.
Good educational books, you know
Do
what
I
I mean?
deserve more money at our job
Thomas
now?
Sowell.
Come on. That's a nonsense argument.
Yes,
And you're making the point of us. That's like you said, you shouldn't have gone. Then you shouldn't have gone. If your piece of paper doesn't do anything for you, why did you go? Come on, man.
She's a libertarian, correct?
Supposedly.
I don't know about
She's
that.
tempted by the argument. Come on, dog.
And they're looking for jobs, and in their absence, as they're waiting for our workforce to match their skill sets.
Their skill
who can we
sets.
bring
They
in?
don't have skills. They have knowledge about stuff. I know apparently not about the actual jobs that they want to get because they can't get those jobs.
Yeah. They're just waiting around. Bye, baby. Have a good
love
workout.
The local children who can clean the meatpacking factory from 5 to 11 p.m. after school.
Yes, who can we abuse and exploit within the system is basically what's going on. So
Her righteous indignation is so thick.
No.
She is so much better than you. If you do not agree with her point of view on this, you are just an evil, disgusting piece of human garbage.
If you think people should be able to trade their time for more money, you're an asshole.
Yep. And it's exploitive is what it is.
Yes. And it's the company's faults, right? It doesn't have anything to do with any of the way that the government has devalued our currency, inflated the prices of things.
Your personal choice to do a thing.
Nope, nothing at all. Those things are irrelevant. This is all about the fact that corporations are trying to fuck everybody all of the time. That's all that this has to do with.
Yeah. That's all this is. That's all this is.
And we are far from corporatist shills, you know? I mean, far from it. But come on.
Come on.
This is not a genuine argument. This is nonsense.
Nope. All right, let's finish it out.
a horrifying revelation, but it's important to know that these sorts of things are happening in America every single day. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now.
Actually, it's 2023, Crystal.
It's fully upon us.
It's fully upon us.
So I send you 2 articles. One of them is the Huffington Post article that has
What
the
is
numbers.
The real story of January
Whoa.
6th? Many people have asked that question.
What is happening
Some
here?
people
Somebody's
have
talking.
described what
Someone
happened
is
on that-
YouTubing us.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's the next one. Word.
Yeah.
So I send you the Huffington Post article is the one that has the numbers of the kids. Excuse me.
Man, I changed out the pillow on my seat and I keep sliding.
And it's like maybe a quarter of the way down. Excuse me, right underneath
At least
these.
102 kids.
Yeah, right underneath these children should never have been employed in meatpacking plants. So right underneath that, the second paragraph, Lazari said the child laborers included 4 13-year-olds, 6 14-year-olds, 17 15-year-olds, 35 16-year-olds, 40 17-year-olds. There was 4 13-year-olds, right? What we talked about was 15. So the people that were under 15 years old was 10. There were 10 children under an age that even now is a reasonable working age that with a permit you can work there.
Yeah. That's
10.
10. It's a systemic failure is what it is. Donovan.
Yes.
All right. This is basically just widespread child labor that's going on here. This is slavery.
10.
And again, did anybody talk to these kids with their parents when they wrote this article?
No, but I've seen
doubt
the
it.
same picture of the child in the
In the
PPE.
coal mine?
And no, not in the coal
Oh.
mine. It's a kid that I think it's in it's in a bunch of these other articles. Oh, if you go down more, that's it. I've seen that picture about 90 million times though. And I saw it and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. It's just a funny looking picture. But
I mean, it looks like he's got all of his PPE on. He's got
Yeah.
he's got a rubber suit essentially head to toe with giant rubber gloves on and a safety helmet and goggles. I mean, it seems like he's a pretty, he's donned his proper PPE to do the work that he is doing.
it's a funny looking picture.
It's a very funny looking picture.
Yes.
And also, how do you know that's not just like a small person?
Also, I think
Could just be a really short adult.
yeah. We are not arguing. I'm going to speak for you. We're not arguing that a 13-year-old should have to be working, right? I'm not like, oh, isn't it so funny this 13-year-old is working? Objectively, that's a funny picture.
It is.
That's where I'm at. That's a funny picture.
It is.
Children shouldn't have to work. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to if that's what works best. And they shouldn't be forced to work. Again, like I said earlier, children obviously they need to be safe. They need to be taken care of. All of this. This is all, of course. But I think that the idea that children can't work and need to be completely coddled and held away from any type of labor at all is not good. I think that's antiquated. I think we're past that now, and we've seen that it's swung too far, that as Kevin was saying earlier, the kids are fucking soft.
Kids are soft.
The children are soft.
Hard, yeah.
It's not good.
The
right?
softest of the soft.
Yes, and that's how you end up with someone that I respect, generally, Jashinsky, right? Who's saying people they deserve more money because they went to college. That's not how it works. You don't deserve more money because of a particular life path that you chose.
No.
That's not how it works.
Nope.
You may have earned more money. You don't deserve more money because you went to college. It doesn't work that way.
No. If you went to college, if college worked this way, right? If you went to college, any college, and that by the time you walked out with a piece of paper, that piece of paper honestly said that you have gained X amount of skills that you did not have beforehand.
Right.
And you'll be able to demonstrate those skills in the workforce, which is what a degree used to mean. It meant that I went through and I learned how to do all these different things, and I've demonstrated that over a multiple period of years to demonstrate that I have gained these skills. And this piece of paper proves that I have those skills. It gives you a slight bump in the market afterwards.
Right.
And then you are fulfilling those. You go out to the workplace and you're able to actually prove that those skills do actually work. You did come out of the system with those skills, and you are a better investment for putting in that time and that money and that effort. And then the business profits from that. If that system actually worked, then college degrees would actually mean something. But they obviously don't mean that you have any of those skills.
Right.
And it is essentially just a worthless piece of paper, and it's still just a shot in the dark whether or not that company, once they hire you, you're going to be able to perform to the level of a college graduate from, say, 60 years ago. who might have actually gained a bunch of those skills. But that's not the way the system works. And so that piece of paper is literally just a worthless piece of paper until you can go prove yourself. And if you go prove yourself from the time you're fucking 15 for multiple years before you go to college, you've got that. You've demonstrated already that you have these skills. And then I improved upon them at college. And now I am even better off. Multiple ways you can go about this. But the piece of paper alone doesn't mean shit anymore.
Right.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You're not entitled to anything. You don't deserve any extra money because you haven't been able to demonstrate that. And unfortunately, because of the way the school system, the college system, and university system has changed over the decades, you having a degree doesn't prove that you know anything more than the 15-year-old that's been working. That's just not the way the system works.
Precisely.
So you don't deserve any of that.
Kevin says, colleges are just indoctrination centers. The powers that be realized that 12 years of school wasn't enough to indoctrinate people, so they pushed for 4 more years of schooling to indoctrinate. Word.
Check.
Donovan, you're right. Shout out. Teaching kids to
Don't
work.
tell him that.
Teaching kids to work hard from a young age helps prepare them for the future like nothing else does. It creates work ethic, but it has to be done at a young age. That's not to say the kids should have to work, but if they want to work, then let them. Absolutely.
That's right.
My brother went to college and got his bachelor's degree in business. I didn't go to college. Now I'm a business owner, and he works for someone else. College is useless. We've
that
talked
so
many
much.
times in our particular department. There's a bunch of people that went to college. They have associates, bachelor's degrees, and we all work at the exact same position now doing the exact same work.
That's right.
So it's
a very interesting thing.
there are times in which it is valuable that you need more education to do certain shit, and there are other times in which experience doing other things is better for you.
Yes.
And I'm a big believer in that. If you're not going to do one of those careers, I don't know, engineering, doctoring, things like that, that's like the education is kind of required for you to be doing this type of thing, so you know what you're getting into. But
which, as a former employer and a business owner, I could tell you right now that even those like technically angled degrees like that, like an engineering degree and stuff like that, those to this day, they don't give you the skill set required to go out and do that professional job once you graduate either.
Right.
It still requires on-the-job training for multiple years for you to actually be worth something about that degree. You have the tiniest background of understanding and education in something that's going to set you up for another couple years of in-the-job training. But even those professional degree programs that, like, you do need to learn higher-level math and statistics and things like that to become like a proper mechanical engineer or something like that.
Right.
You do need to learn those things, but the job of a mechanical engineer, you're not ready to do that job once you walk out with those base level knowledge. Just an inkling of what you do need. So it's still pretty worthless in the end.
yeah,
Because you could still, if you wanted to learn those things, you could do that on the internet. You could
YouTube,
still learn
yeah,
that
yeah.
100%. Like through you could order books and read it that way. You could just, YouTube University is a huge tool. So it just, none of this shit tracks. Jasinski's way off base here.
Yeah.
Way off base especially for a libertarian, quote unquote libertarian at this point. It's not good. Not good. What's in this Time magazine article?
The Time magazine article at the bottom is the woman. It is the last, like 3 or 4 paragraphs. The last 4 paragraphs, because I start to agree with this woman, and then she starts to get wild, right? So, further still, when families go through tough economic times, young people are more likely to join the labor force, says Deborah Levinson, a professor at the University of Minnesota's Hubert H. Humphrey School of Public Affairs, whose research focuses on child labor. The PSSI violations, that is the cleaning contractor, then may also be a sign that families are struggling much more than the national economic data shows. And I was like, okay, word, shout out. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Shit is tough right now. The unemployment rate may be low now, but the DOL's investigation took place over 3 years, and they were years in which millions of people lost their jobs during the COVID-19 pandemic. Kids don't do terrible work for no reason at all. Shout out, right? That's, of course, if they're doing it, there's some type of reason, because 13-year-olds aren't just like, I would love to clean a head splitter. That sounds sick. That's not what they're doing. They're doing it because they need a job, and they probably pays decent to clean a head splitter between 5 and 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're doing that job, not because they really want to clean that equipment.
Yeah.
There's another thing that changed in the period this investigation covers: immigration enforcement. Many families in the meatpacking industry have mixed documentation status. The Trump administration had pledged in 2017 to increase worksite inspections by Immigration and Customs Enforcement fourfold. It's possible, Levinson says, that ICE activity increased on meatpacking plants in the year since. Undocumented parents dropped out of the labor force and their documented children stepped up to earn a living for their family.
It's also possible that that didn't happen.
That's like a very specific circumstance. That's
Yes.
very specific in which that's happening. That the parents are like, I can't work here anymore because I might go to jail. You can have this job now, even though you're in school, right? Even though those parents came to America to give their child a better life, right?
Yeah.
So why would they then subject their child to worse circumstances to just stay at home and not work,
Yeah.
right? They would get a different job, probably. That's
that would
most
make
likely
sense.
they would get a different job where they're less likely to get raided by ICE if that's
Yeah.
what their concern is.
They're not just going to not work and then make their kids work.
You got it, kid.
Good luck.
That seems weird. That seems like an odd choice.
Yeah. And what is this? This whole, like, it seems to span the entirety of this story, really, between both articles and, like, Crystal's review of it. There's so many, like, well, it's possible this is happening. And it's also possible this is happening. Well, when you are saying that it's also possible that this is happening, that it's possible these things are going on, well, that makes you no different than a conspiracy theorist at all, because it's also possible it's not fucking happening.
Right.
And that the context behind this situation might actually make sense. It's possible that none of this is happening.
We shouldn't be framing policy on what's possible.
No, if it's possible that this is happening, it's equally possible that it's not happening.
Right.
So why is it that you could state affirmatively that something's possibly happening?
Yeah.
You should, and it's also possible that this isn't happening. It's equally possible. It's all fucking nonsense to get you riled up to support one side of this narrative or another. Obviously.
And then the last paragraph, it's very likely that those families, the ones she just talked about, where the parents stopped working and the children started to work, it's very likely that those families are struggling even more now that the children lost their jobs, she says. DOL has very little follow-up, Levinson says, to check on the economic stability of families whose children are found to be working in violation of labor laws. So not only should we take your job, we should call to make sure that your parents have jobs.
Yeah. No,
This is just a weird take. That's a super weird take. Like, the government needs to be reaching out to the people whose jobs they just took away from them because of the arbitrary standards that they set to make sure that their parents have jobs so they don't have to have jobs.
you're making so many assumptions in
it's
these
just,
articles.
it's just a weird argument.
Like, you're going to go with the base fact that the fact that these kids have a job is the bad part of this. And that everything else has to be based off the fact that that is a bad deal.
Yeah.
And there's a million different possible reasons why this is happening or the fallout of this. And so we'll just pontificate on the possibilities. It might be this, it might be that. It might be none of this shit, man. You're obviously just trying to write this thing in a way to get people upset that these kids that are under 18 have a job in a arguably shitty industry. A non-skilled labor position. You're really upset that this is happening. Maybe these kids were really jazzed to have this job. It's possible. I'll put it in there like it's possible.
It's possible.
that all these kids were super jazzed to have these jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the job sucked and they probably weren't super in love with it, but they probably were really jazzed about their fucking paychecks. You know, what they were going to do with those paychecks. It's possible they were really thrilled about that. And the parents, it's possible the parents and the families were really proud of their kids for putting in some work ethic and really showing that, like, I'm trying to do something with my life and make something, you know, and do something powerful by becoming an asset to this nation and to our society. It's
Yeah.
possible that all that is happening. So we'll put it in their words. It's possible.
Yeah, I don't think it's inherently wrong for the children to be working. Yeah.
God, no.
One of the articles that I read, and this is kind of my last point on this, was that this is happening because there's a huge labor shortage. I think the labor shortage argument is nonsense.
Yes.
This is not about a labor shortage, right? This is about, in my opinion, that our government has inflated the currency. We talked about this earlier. Inflated the currency and flooded the market with enough free money and useless degrees that people don't even understand what work and money, how that connects anymore. That it's just this should be happening. People would deserve more money for this. I mean, we talked about Like in McDonald's jobs and stuff like that, right? There's nothing wrong with these jobs. You are not meant to sustain your entire life for your whole life on this job.
Nope.
You are meant to be incentivized to get better jobs, to get better stuff. That's the whole point, right?
Yes.
But when everything, even the things you have now, continue to cost you more money, it becomes difficult to see that pathway forward. When there's some form of stability in what you are paying for things, it is easier to see the path. That thing that I want is going to stay $250, and I can't get that now, but if I get a better job, I can put that aside and we'll be good to go. But if you do that and the next time you look at it, it costs $500,
Oh, yeah.
you just wasted the $2 an hour that you got by getting a better job.
Yep.
There is no longer an incentive for you to try harder because it continues to fucking suck the whole time.
And even with your increase in pay, as pay rises, you're still only going to have $350 saved by the time that thing is $500.
Precisely.
Can't keep up.
Precisely.
That's a really good point. That's a very, very good point. I like that. So, at the end of the day, I support child labor.
Salt of the Streets is pro-child labor.
Yes, we are.
Not forced child labor, but chosen child labor.
A voluntary exchange of goods and services or labor that you willingly decide to sign into. I am super down with that. I don't give a
Yes.
shit how old you are.
Yes.
I could suggest to you, maybe this is, depending on your context, maybe this isn't the best decision to be making right now. You should probably go finish learning long division and basic algebra, maybe, or learn how to string a sentence together if you're actually going to, if they actually teach that in school, which I can't confirm nor deny that they actually do. But I mean, if that's what you want to do and you could fit it into your life, man, go for it. Go for it. You're trying to be a good upstanding adult citizen.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. You're doing something right here. I wish there was more people that wanted to work before they were 18. That sounds fantastic. I had a job before I was 18. The only stipulation was basically once you can drive, because we're not going to take you to work all the time.
Right.
We've spent our whole lives taking to fucking soccer games and baseball games and all this extra shit, band practice and all that shit. No. Once you get a car, we'll help you get a car, and then you can get a job then to sustain yourself. How about that? That was the only deal in my life.
That seems like a decent deal.
Yeah, it was a good exchange. It was a good exchange.
Yeah.
And then I just went down that path and never stopped. Look at that. And now I'm just this wonderful, middle-aged, upstanding citizen. So yeah, pro-child labor. I'm into it.
Is there anything else that you want to hit this segment? I think we're closing on like the Bilbo.
Bilbo's here.
Closing in on the 2-hour mark for
we can.
segment one.
I think we can close her out.
Okay, well, with that, we'll be back in just a few minutes for part 2. Of course, we're sticking with the Nationals. We have some balloon talk, some UFO talk, some things like that. It's going to be great. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you very much. That's it.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.